Hey, Rachel. Oh. We tried a lot of different ways of making a film for you, but they were all too goofy or irrelevant.
Just kind of turned out completely horrible, so.
All right, I'm gonna be honest here, okay? Sometimes white girls are particularly stupid. I mean, everybody's stupid, but white girls, you know, they think they better than everybody and self-centered, but they not. But you weren't like that.
You know, when it comes right down to it, and you just say it.
You make me feel blessed.
I believe in you.
At the outset of writing this book, all I knew was that I wanted to write about teenagers, something that took place in high school, something that was funny, but that also had some real sadness in it. Specifically, our expectations of ourselves when someone very close to us is dying.
The book had a lot of personality on the page in a different way, but when they talked about who was going to write the script, everybody thought it'd be an interesting idea to give Jesse a shot. It was his first screenplay, and for a first script, it really is, it's terrifically written.
My grandfather was terminally ill at the time that I was beginning to write it, and so death and the way that we deal with it was very much on my mind. So I wanted to make something funny out of that, which sounds perverse, but I did feel that there was some possibility for comedy there that was earned and real.
Yeah, chemotherapy. It really sucks.
What the hell, bro? Don't say it sucked, dumbass.
That's kind of sad.
The dialogue in the script was funny and it was heartfelt, but it wasn't melodramatic when you got into the serious sections. It just felt very true, and it felt true to me.
The script came to Alfonso at a time in his life where he just lost his father, and he read it, and something spoke to him, and it's something that he thought he could help tell this universal story because of the place he was in his life and the things he wanted to celebrate.
I was coasting through life like Greg is coasting through high school. So I found this movie as an opportunity to express myself through Greg and take this journey with him and explore that and face my fears and process loss and process it by making a film and do it through images and color and sound and humor, more importantly.
Me and my dad used to walk around the block and count squirrels. Squirrel, 7, 2 squirrels, 9.
Jesus. You need to apply for a dad refund immediately.
My dad, had the weirdest sense of humor on earth, and that's the best way to pay tribute to him.
Please appreciate how honest that was just now.
You're an asshole.
Alfonso is very open with me about why he wanted to tell this story. We just developed this really deep trust with each other.
I identified with this lost teenager trying to understand these very abstract feelings and emotions, and how he was going to express that in the film at the end. It was a journey I really wanted to take.
What I love about this story and this screenplay is that we get to see family at work, and we get to see the journey in a very important time of life for this young boy.
It's so rare that you read a script that just lifts off the page like that, that's so funny and moving, and it was just so beautifully written.
It's really deep human writing, and it's got a great sense of humor and realism to it.
That sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks quite a bit. When I read something that makes me cry, I always immediately call my mom, who's a great reader, and say, Mom, you gotta check this out. Is everything all right? That's when I know that we've latched onto something good.
Dad, Cat Stevens is calling me.
Well, he's deeply distraught.
And cut. That was the best one. That was the best one. Okay, great. The second Thomas walked in, it was a look that was very, very different. I wanted to find someone that had the quality that Anthony Michael Hall had in those wonderful John Hughes movies.
I spent the last 4 years of my life obsessing over how everyone sees me, and I realized that I don't care anymore. Because the only person whose opinion that I care about is dead. So whatever.
He had a way to make the words his own. Like, the jokes didn't feel forced.
When we hang out, I do an insane amount of talking.
You just have a lot more to say than I do.
Yeah, but the stuff I have to say is idiotic. It's quantity versus quality.
Just the voice of Greg just really sounded like me and who I was as a high schooler, and it just rang very true to me.
Sorry, it's a pillow. It's meant to be a baby for health class.
Better not get it too close to me, otherwise I might just masturbate onto it.
I thought, what if you took a kid who's almost kind of like a Larry David, who is a little too candid and open about it doesn't have much of a filter.
I might just masturbate all over it. Ah! I don't know. I better not get it too close to me, because I might just masturbate.
He's a kid who, in some ways, can socialize with everyone, but in other ways has a lot of difficulty really socializing with people and really making himself vulnerable.
Check out Scott Mayhew's Tyrannosaurus Walk. It's a great way to get from point A to point B.
Jesse just writes in such an honest way that's clumsy but so real, and he just completely captured that. Look, you guys can go if you want.
We're on drugs.
Oh, shit.
Why are you on drugs?
It's all believable. You know, it's nothing that is on paper, either in the book or the script, that's too far-fetched.
We ended up getting trapped in an elevator. We were stuck in there for like 25 minutes, and we had to breathe the weird marijuana air. Earl, am I right?
That's exactly what happened. So it's like everything is relatable.
I mean, what was I thinking?
You was thinking that girl Madison had nice titties.
I love the way the characters spoke. It was so honest. And Thomas, when he read with Olivia, it couldn't be romantic. It couldn't be sexual. 2, 3, 5 years from now, it could have been a wonderful love story. But right now, it was about something else.
Anyway.
Yep.
And there was a beautiful chemistry between them.
Seriously, like, how many pillows is that? God, I wish I had that many pillows.
So like your parents for some.
What? No. No, they'd be suspicious or something.
What, did you sleep all the time?
No. They'd probably assume I was gonna masturbate all over them.
I'm just gonna stay.
That's my parents. They're gross.
Working with Thomas, I've never met someone who just seeing their face makes me so happy. And from day one, it just felt so solid and platonic. And I was like, this guy is so cool and I want to be his friend.
It just worked. She's just such a giving, caring person, and just, I mean, as an actress and a human being.
That was a monster laugh.
I connected to the character of Rachel on one level because she's artistic and she's soulful, and that resonates on certain levels with me. I just thought it would be easier than this. She goes through this intense chemotherapy, but I wanted to do that justice, just not portray her as a victim at all. I'm probably gonna stop treatment pretty soon. Get out of here, Greg. You've done your time. You don't have to hang around with a sick girl anymore.
She has to face the possibility of a compressed life. And she has a series of very, very dramatic scenes, and they never felt false. She just has this ability to find the truth in a scene.
Make me laugh. It kind of hurts.
When you see her in the movie, she seems so young and full of life, and then so mature.
So where do you usually sit?
Olivia and Thomas and RJ, it's so refreshing being around them because they're so excited about acting and making movies and art that it reminds me of what I loved about acting and why I went into it and why I love making movies.
They're all so different. Their backgrounds are so completely different, but they just have this wonderful flow to them, and I think you can feel it on set.
You can't like fake chemistry with a friend. You kind of just have to start hanging out with them and get to know them, and have your own inside jokes, and all those things bleed through on the screen.
So
So are you cool? Are you cool?
So are you cool?
We were just always together, and just being genuine friends first, it made our craft much more pure on set.
It's so cool to like see them really seizing this and like digging into it. Yeah, Thomas and Olivia have a little more experience. RJ, he's just a total discovery.
What the hell is wrong with you right now? Like all apologetic and shit. Look, making everything about your sorry ass. Look, that's not what we came over here, okay?
His raw talent and his confidence was exactly what we needed to bring Earl to life, and exactly the energy that the film needed for these three friends to bond.
Like, I'm in the mood for some good ass ice cream. You like ice cream?
I do like ice cream.
Okay, cool.
Me too.
Earl Jackson, EJ, if I could. Earl is a quiet storm. He's very reserved, but when he has something that needs to be said or somebody that needs to be defended, you know, he's that person.
God damn it, Earl.
Son, don't even start.
Pig's foot.
It was a challenge to me because I'm like extra hyper. I'm like a Sour Patch Kid times 10 with a little bit of coffee and Red Bull. And Earl Jackson's just like a nice shot of espresso with some water and lemon, you know? He's very calm, and Alfonso showed me how to bring it down, because at first I was just like, okay, Earl is like, ah! But he was like, no, Earl is not like, ah! He's just like, ah. He made it a very cool character to play.
Here we go. All right. Still rolling. Still rolling. Are you holding up, man?
His enthusiasm for working on a movie in general is just like through the roof because it's his first time. So he'd come on to set and see like a camera and be like, whoa, what is that? You know, it was so funny just to see him kind of experience everything for the first time.
Working with RJ spurred us on and made us realize just how lucky we are to be doing this job.
I was learning like literally the whole time I was on set. I wish school was this fun, okay? I would have had no problem waking up in the morning, eating Pop-Tarts and running to the school bus, you know? Because it's just like they made it so fun.
Good cut.
That was amazing.
There was one night in the fight outside of his house where the whole crew was speechless because he'd gone to a place that I think was even unexpected to him.
You care so much about what... You care so much about what other people think, dog. You just go around kissing everybody's ass all the time. Like, nobody cares, bro. Like, nobody give a shit, man. And then this one girl come up, and she actually care about you. You come over here bitching and whining over some films, dog. Because somebody actually care about your ass, man.
He's a true artist, and he was discovering himself in front of us.
Like, yo, I'm so tired of you treating this girl like a bird, dog. Like, it's it, man. She about to die, yo. You want to come over here bitching and whining over some irrelevant bullshit. Like, I'm so close to knocking you. Oh, my God.
At the end of the night, my first AD turned to me and said, I think we just saw a star come alive, because it was that special.
Like, damn, I'm so tired of you treating this girl like she a burden. You know, her life is over after this. And you want to come over here bitching and whining about some irrelevant bullshit. Like, yo, you so close to me knocking your shit loose right now, son.
Go for it.
Oh, so you want me to hit you now?
Yeah, I don't care.
You want me to hit you now?
Yeah, or I want you to.
That's right, jack the little dude up, dude.
Jesse Andrews is from Pittsburgh. The novel and the script are both scripted to take place in Pittsburgh.
It's a very small film. It's two people in a room. We could do it anywhere. But I wanted to see Pittsburgh. I didn't know what that looked like. The bridges or the staircases were in the script, and it was just about discovering it for myself and then sometimes working scenes into different locations so it isn't just a walk and talk, because Pittsburgh is so visually arresting. There was this beautiful street that had these beautiful townhouses, and every house had its own character.
We went over to Jesse's family's house for dinner one night. It had African drums in the corner, and it had just this warmth you could just feel was genuine. We sort of broached the idea like, hey, Jesse, you think your parents would ever let us shoot in the house?
When I was creating a house in my head for Greg, these are the rooms that I just tend to inhabit in my imagination.
That was one of the weirdest things, to get to shoot in the author's house. Greg's room was Jesse's old room. There was just this great authenticity to it, and the house just felt very lived in.
The walls are this like light celery color, and the baseboards and door are kind of a British racing green. And that's where he feels safe. And then when he leaves his safety of his bedroom, he has this jacket that he wears repeatedly throughout the movie that is the same color palette. And so there are pieces that he takes out of his room and travels with him, and using that as a sense of armor. It's an identity as he moves about the world.
I just feel like, for a kid like me,
In high school, the best case scenario, just survive, you know? We shot at Jesse's old high school as well, Shenley High School.
It looked like a prison, and I love that. It's exactly what it should be.
It's an historic building. A lot of famous alumni too, you know, Andy Warhol, Bruno Sammartino, a lot of jazz musicians.
The building itself was built in 1915, so it's old. It's a little bit decrepit, which we're playing up.
It's a different kind of high school experience, a texture, an aesthetic that I hadn't seen before, and that made me very excited.
It gives it this great sort of imposing, like, cold vibe, which is kind of the way that Greg sees high school anyway.
It was so visual that it only made the movie pop even more, because I wanted it to be a visual experience.
In the original screenplay, there was this series of what Jesse called Robo-Greg visions. We'd shoot the scene and then replay it again as he saw it. It delayed meeting Rachel by a significant amount, and it added a motif to the film that we had to continue, and it started to overstay its welcome. And the second we lifted it completely, the movie just moved faster.
Alfonso definitely creates an atmosphere of just pure artistic enjoyment.
The collaboration of Alfonso, who's a very open, creative, and kind of spontaneous thinker, with Chung Hoon Chung, who's our phenomenal cinematographer. It's sort of a marriage of equals.
Alfonso said that you're the first DP that talked about the drama and the humor, so he just hired him on the spot. Alfonso really knows a lot about the visuals, so while working with him, it was really fun.
We understood each other immediately because we'd come up and design these bizarre shots. We finish each other's thoughts. We both sometimes will come up with really simple ideas like a 90-degree shot as a transition. We understood that we could both go crazy with these ideas and then come down. And then we also felt very comfortable just being very still.
The beginning was quite rigid and stylized, with very wide-angle lenses and very cold. That was quite a storyboard and planned out. By the second half of the film, once you're holding these shots longer and longer and longer, the audience is now with you, and there's like a trust now between us.
I think that's the way to go, Connie.
We shot a scene, and it was fairly simple on the page, but what he ended up doing was combining two scenes and creating this basically one-shot move that incorporated the entire house.
Hi, this is Rachel.
Hey, it's Greg Gaines.
Hi.
While we were doing the first part of the first conversation, it just felt like, what if we never saw Rachel's world until we walk into it with Greg? I just thought it might be more interesting visually.
Ready, and action.
And the next thing we knew, we were performing this very complex and beautiful shot.
We followed the mom into the dining room, and then at that point, Greg is pacing around the house and walking on a table, just very comfortable. I wanted to feel like this is a house that's very lived in.
And if you think that all these excuses that you're making are more important than the happiness of a girl with cancer, a friend with cancer,
It was just about getting the rhythm of the conversation and having the camera keep up with him.
you are going to call her. You are going to pick up that phone and you are going to call Rachel. You are going to.
Is that okay for you guys? Okay.
Alfonso is a scholar of films. Like, he's really a film fan. He really loves looking at reference imagery, looking at movies, thinking about all the influences. He knows more movies than any of us.
He'll bring up a movie, and I'll say, oh, I've never heard of that. And I'll say, I'll send it to you. And I've been here not a week, and I've got 10 new DVDs that he sent me.
Still, to this day, I get DVDs in the mail from Alfonso.
You should see my Amazon Prime bill is just like outrageous because I love giving DVDs, you know?
Throughout his whole career, he's been mentored by some of the greatest, Scorsese and Inarritu, Nora Ephron. Those are his sort of leading lights. And he's been on their sets and he's worked with them and he's been a second unit director for some of these guys. But it's all about the truth that he brings to the story that drew us to him as a filmmaker.
He has an incredible skill of being visually talented and knowing how to work the cameras and lighting and making it visually beautiful. And then on top of that, he's really funny.
He knows how to bring emotions and pieces of a person that they don't even know how to bring out of themselves.
One more like that.
It's very hard to trip.
No, you didn't.
Okay, good. I might not be.
All right, I just can't laugh.
Molly Shannon is hilarious. Watching her was such a lesson because Alfonso could really just turn up the levels with her, and she can go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then she can just bring it down to just minute, and it's just so tragic, and it was amazing to watch.
Greg.
Mrs. Kushner.
One of the highlights of the film for me is to work with one of your comedy idols, but then have her bring life and a truth to a world that is more dramatic than maybe people are accustomed to see her in.
Boy, with the big heart. I went to drama school at NYU, so I was a very serious actress. I really didn't start doing comedy till like my last 2 years at NYU. So I always think of comedy the same way, like I always want to play the emotional truth of the character. I don't ever like trying to act like, you know, making fun of the character. It comes from a very real place, and then, you know, you can have comedy from that.
Yeah, I guess I'm a modest mouse.
Some of my favorite moments in shooting the film were the scene when Greg comes over to the house for the first time. David Trachtenberg, my editor, and I were having a tough time in the cutting room. We just watched her dailies for like a little bit.
Where do you come up with this stuff? Oh, Greg, where do you come up with this stuff?
Oh, well, that's the name of a band.
Oh, you're so cool. Oh, you're so cool.
Actually.
Really? You're so cool.
She made a line funny in 12 different ways.
You'll want to pay close attention to this. The bristling Leviathan tarantula. Tarantula. Those things would wake you up, biting your nutsack. You know, you can actually smoke a hornet. It's probably worth mentioning, showing off a couple of my cat wounds.
What happened? Mom.
Penn State.
Is that serious?
It felt terrible. You know, you like your co-stars to be comfortable. I think I could hold a cat and eat a pig's foot. This is cuttlefish.
My house also has the weirdest food.
A sea creature much like a squid. It is a favorite East Asian snack food.
For all the weird food inside the little Ziploc bag, we get a deep understanding of his relationship with his father and the care that goes into every strange piece of food that he's introducing his son to, and the country that it comes from, and a word he could learn that day. I owe a lot to Bo Harrison for coming up with this idea.
Nice big one from here. He did a big bite. Put the whole thing in there. Ready? Set. Action.
So, they'll probably sneak into your house at night and film you while you're sleeping.
That's nasty as hell. The hell even is this? We make films.
Movies?
They're terrible.
Greg, you never told me.
The little films within the film is something I labored over for a very long time because the films are, you know, somewhat different than the ones that are scripted or in the book. I didn't want to make them kind of pop accessible films, but I thought that Greg's dad, because his way in was through Criterion, why not find more obscure films to reference? It would never make or break the movie anyway. It wasn't about that, but it was a way to discover films and spoof them in a really fun way, and I was able to drop in hints and homages to my heroes.
We liked them so much we started making our own.
Action!
And then made a new film to reflect the new title. It's a formula that only produces horrible films, but for some reason we keep using it.
We didn't want to do these movies with the whole Hollywood crew and pretending they're done by kids. So we said, hey, we knew these young guys in Pittsburgh, those kind of guys who could draw and animate and shoot and could be Greg and Earl. So they, together with Alfonso, made all those little movies.
Our problems were all these classic films, a lot of them were Alfonso's favorites, and sort of doing like a juvenile spin on them, you know, and most of them like around death, some really like superficial or like childish take on it, like just turning everything into a punchline was basically what we were doing.
I was kind of like the cameraman and Nate was the illustrator who did a lot of drawings and crafts and stuff.
Molly Shannon called the set arts and crafts camp, not really a movie set, because everyone was building puppets or cutting out this or carving books, and it was that feeling of why I wanted to make films in the first place. We would choose what film to pay homage to and what shot would be the most economical to tell that story. And we knew we didn't want 10 films to all be sock puppets. They all had to be different kind of mixed media, stop motion puppets and whatnot. But it also had to feel like they were made by the hands of two 17-year-olds.
We used some of the materials that I used in high school. Like, I brought my old tripod in and my old skateboard dolly in.
Yeah, really everything that you see here is very much shoestring together.
It was pretty easy to get back into that mode. Probably haven't advanced much since then, so, you know.
The animation and sock puppets, I mean, they just made all those things from scratch in a room in our office, and we shot all the things there.
Ed and Nate had this little workshop. It was just a mess all the time because there's an arts and crafts studio.
I didn't know what to expect every time I walked down to, their office space, because it's like their minds are just little crayon boxes that will spit out just creativity. And I had fun all the time shooting short films with these two.
It literally felt like you're just making this sort of low-rent movie with your friends.
I try. I'm working with a bunch of amateurs here, okay? Lick my ass. Understand?
It was a great time. It was very sort of guerrilla style.
Come on! Lick my ass!
We probably made, what, 15 or so?
Yeah, like full clips.
We did a spin-off of Peeping Tom, and the spin-off was Pooping Tom.
Really highbrow, too.
Yeah, a lot of really highbrow titles.
The Seventh Seal became the Seven Seals.
And it's about 7 seals.
It's nonsense, it's fun stuff.
Don't Look Now Because the Creepy-Ass Dwarf is About to Kill You, Damn. That was one of my favorite, the actual movie is one of my favorite movies now. And I feel like I actually look like Donald Sutherland with the wig and the mustache on. And so I think that one turned out pretty good.
Midnight Cowboy became my favorite movie. Now I just can't stop watching it. I'm addicted to it. I would be in my trailer. RJ, what you doing? I'm watching Midnight Cowboy with some ramen noodles right now. It's just so quirky, the way that the parody was made, not just because I got to wear a very beautiful cowboy hat.
It just takes you back to being a teenager, where you're making movies with your friends just around the house with whatever props you can find, and it's just this great nostalgia to it, and it just makes you want to, be creative.
In the end of the movie, they make this film for Rachel. We started to do a lot of research into abstract films, and part of it is images more than words and less linear, and it becomes more poetic.
We had this extended sequence of stop-motion fabrics.
So we were learning that probably just as Greg and Earl would have.
Yeah.
The final film was the most satisfying, I think. It's a really beautiful work of art that they created. This is a parody of Warhol's Screen Test with them shooting themselves, which is a little more in the tradition of the things they had done before. And then stop motion, which was inspired by the Charles and Ray Eames film, and you'll see that there's a burn-in in the second scene in Copacetic Comics. You can see that they're becoming less literal and still playful, and it is about her because it's her pillows and the ongoing joke. And then it had to then evolve into something else. And it was this thing of, almost Rachel becoming energy and how to express that in a way that was abstract. Nate, Ed, and I were trying to find a song that would give the short film a structure that eventually would be replaced by score or something else. And The Big Ship had this wonderful emotion to it that wasn't forced. It had a very handmade quality, and his music would just kind of held you and carried you through it. And it gave a wonderful structure to the short. I realized that Brian Eno's Big Ship was absolutely necessary, and then his film became, the sound of my film. You can change lenses, please, a little wider. One wider. It was very important to me that we experience the movie. I wanted to feel what they're feeling. And we tried to, as best we could, shoot in continuity so we can take that journey together.
Action. Shooting it in linear was so helpful because we really mapped out when Rachel's chemotherapy treatments were and the stages of the cancer that she was at. So for me, just on that emotional level and how to play the fatigue and just the sense of hope and then hopelessness, it really, really helped. And it rarely ever goes that way in films.
to go through this process. It was just like this great emotional trigger for me. Alfonso just wants to be totally new and totally unique.
It made it way easier, and it made our craft much more pure on set. That's what made this movie a great experience.
I don't think I would have had the same performance.
It's so much harder than I thought it would be.
Olivia has a series of very, very dramatic scenes, and they never felt false. And the shaving of her head is something that she was adamant about doing.
Are you nervous?
Terrified. You see bald caps in film, and even like the really, really good ones, you can still kind of tell it's a bald cap. So I just reached out to Alfonso. I was like, let's just shave it.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
I'm freaking out.
Oh, my God.
So my stomach hurt right now.
We wanted to shoot it in character, and we were kind of improvising, and the camera was sort of floating around the room because it was going to be part of the last film that Greg and Earl make for Rachel. And at the end of the day, it just didn't feel right to have that in the film, but we got to physically help shave Olivia's head.
Oh my God, you're going for the front? Okay.
Yeah.
Thomas and RJ cut off my little ponytails. And they had way too much fun with that.
You know, I would totally do this with you, but my mom would get mad.
As we got down to the finish, it got really heavy, you know, and emotional.
I was just feeling my bald head for the first time and fell apart for a good 10 minutes. The whole point of shaving the head was, you know, taking control of the cancer for Rachel.
It looks good. I promise.
It was really special for us all to be there.
I feel like that's what made our friendship a little bit tighter, because it made it mean so much to all three of us, even though we didn't shave our head. It was just like being there and a part of that moment.
Unforgettable, for sure.
The hospital scene towards the end of the film was a scene that I had planned carefully.
It's meant to be this really gut-twisting thing because you've been explicitly prepared for the opposite.
Can I put some flowers on you?
A part of Greg was really in denial. He's still trying to wrap his head around the hugeness of what death is and what it really means that someone is not in his life anymore.
The scene is just so tragic and the emotion is just so there. And I just felt like I wanted to do that justice.
Every shot was storyboarded. And so finally we get to the set, and we're all quite fragile at this point because it's been a beautiful experience, and we're saying goodbye to one of our characters. And I realized that none of my shots would work because it wasn't capturing the truth of the scene. It was very stylized, but it wasn't capturing what I wanted to get out of this sequence. I just took a minute and realized that I had to take the most simple approach to it. I'm not a particular fan of the Steadicam, but I thought the imperfections of that and the feeling that you're almost underwater and dreamlike. So it would be capturing it as if it was handheld. And at that point, that's all we did. Just documented and held on close-ups for as long as possible. It was a very tough night to get through for all of us. I could barely say cut sometimes.
You can't prepare for that. It was so personal and close to us all. It was just really emotional.
That was the last time I saw Rachel.
For the last scene, I thought it would be nice if he was alone in the room and was discovering things about her he didn't know before.
Lucy, our prop master, said, you know, it'd be really cool if they had these little dioramas, these little carved books. And we're like, well, these are beautiful, but how the heck are we gonna make them? And it turned out that actually 2 of the people on our crew in the art department took on the task and just sort of spent weekends and nights carving out these amazing carved books.
Finding the right book aesthetically was difficult. We wanted to couple the book with the subject of whatever Rachel was carving. We tried to kind of make a connection so that it wasn't arbitrary.
What those books unfold about Rachel is that she expresses her loss, her frustrations, her happiness in these creations.
This is what she gives back to Greg, and they're all on the steps of the ice cream place together. So we did go look at images to try and recreate that architecturally with each of the characters in the correct placement, and then that kind of morphs into a very abstract landscape that she just could have doodled with, I suppose. This is one that looks like a simple old book, but we were really excited to find it because it's Gulliver's Travels, which Alfonso had talked about, and we just kind of carved that. And that was really fun to make with the little figures.
Something like these, there was more freedom. You could imagine a book she liked and imagine how she would carve it. Something like this was coming from a specific note from Alfonso. We wanted something relating to her father. We knew that she had memories of walking in a park with him, so we adapted it into a view looking through a bramble trees towards the horizon in a single figure, perhaps in homage to the father walking away from us.
I saw the books that Rachel carved pretty late into the film when they were finally all done, and that was really, really emotional. You think you've gone through one wave of emotion when you see the film, but when Greg discovers that for the first time, that's just a whole different kettle of fish.
It was just like this great emotional trigger for me. There's all this stuff that she leaves behind, and at that point we had been shooting for a while, and so to just kind of discover all these new things, it was like really intensely powerful.
It's meant to be a complete unfolding, a complete surprise.
It allowed for us to discover a character through art.
The books kind of tied in the idea that even when someone you love has gone, there's still a way that you can keep finding out about them, and that's such a lovely thing to take away from life in general.
Even after somebody dies, you still keep learning about them.
Everybody has a story, and even if their life ends, their story can continue, and that's something that is really important to me.
Life can keep unfolding itself to you as long as you pay attention to it.
Since making this movie, I keep sort of hearing iterations of that or feeling iterations of that in everything I see or do, or other movies or other people that I talk to, and I'm realizing how true that lesson is.
Amazing. The goal that I had was that by the end, I will believe this line, I believe this idea. I believe it now.
Since we've started the movie, I feel like I've just become great friends with Alfonso. He was very open with me about why he wanted to tell this story, and talked to me about losing his own father and how that grieving process affected him. I really am just grateful that he trusted me so much.
I wish I could be a lesser filmmaker if it means having my dad around, but certainly there is this feeling that he was very much present throughout making this. And then all of a sudden, I'm at Sundance and people are asking me about my father. So now my father's story is continuing to unfold in a really, really unexpected and beautiful way. And it was such a surprise to me, but it's exactly what the movie was about.